Quick start steps, and today we're going to configure our controller. Hello there, I'm Roberto Cruz and this is RTFM, aka Read the Freaky Menu. So we're just continuing on our recent playlist. So we're just diving, deeper into a Studio 5000 Logix designer. On our previous video, we through the quick start steps from the help file, we went through on how to create a new project. We talked a little bit about tasks, programs, routines and subroutines, and those bits and pieces. Pretty simple one. And in today's video, I'm going to show you guys what some of the quick steps to configure a controller, right? So I'm just going through the help file, the quick start steps. So, it's pretty much self-explanatory, isn't it? Those are the quick steps that you take to get a controller configured. Obviously, we're gonna dive into those topics deeper, in the future, in later videos, because this is just obviously some steps that you can get going by configuring your controller. Okay, all right. All that said, let's just dive into the actual video. Let me just switch screens, and here we go. I've got a controller. I've got a Studio Logix designer with an online project. So we can see by the LEDs. So we've got is in run mode, so it's running. Controller okay. Battery fault. It's funny enough, battery fault for whatever reason. When we're running on an emulate, there's always this battery fault bothering us, right? I had a comment the other day on Instagram from a follower saying, I've actually posted like a picture of the new layout of the Studio 5000 Logix emulate. Just check this out. So this is the new layout. And the first comment was like battery fault, because he also noticed that there's always been a battery fault coming up on those controllers. But there is no harm on this. This is just an emulation. So we don't care about battery, right? If it was a true controller, obviously this is something major. You always have to make sure that your battery is healthy, right? So on this second topic of the quick start steps, we're going through a title called this is the actual second chapter, right? It's called configuring the controller, right? So what do they mean by configuring the controller? So we already created a new project. So, and now it's time for you to configure some bits and pieces, some other important stuff by actually changing your controller via the controller properties, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna open up the controller, right? And we're gonna go through this together. So over here, this is where you can go. You can change modes, obviously. As I'm online, you can see that I can go offline, I can upload, I can download, because obviously I'm online. Obviously those options are grayed out. All the options available is going to be bold, and anything that is grayed out is obviously not available. So what we are doing today is selecting controller properties. So this window that popped up is where you configure your controller's property. Again, this is an emulator, but obviously it gives you pretty much most of the features that you would have on a physical controller, right? So you've got a couple of information here in the general. So you've got the vendor, Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley, your controller's type. We're using emulate 5570 revision 33, right? 33011. Obviously the name of our controller, description. Because I'm online, I'm unable to change any of those. So this is the first tab, right? So let's just go through the quick steps. So the quick start step does not talk of all them tabs. So just a couple of things to get you going, to get you set up, all right? So the first one we're going to check is date and time. So date and time, so here it is, right? There's a quick tip here. So you can only configure the wall clock time while online. So this is why I've got these my project online. So this is the project that we created initially. So and then to be able to change obviously you have to be online. Right, so a couple of things. So you can, by push this button, you can configure your controller to always to follow the workstation, right? So at this moment, right, we've obviously the 26th of May, my VM is frozen. So I've made a video of how you can freeze up your VM. This is going to be an exclusive video on our web channel, so stay tuned, and I'll let you guys know when the video is launched. The video came out, right? So this is, so if you wanted to set your workstation, your PLC, your controller to your workstation's time and zone, you can just push this button and, you know, done, job done. So, right, obviously you can change it manually. So by coming here, you can select, you know, your day and time and push OK, right? You can always adjust, you know, for daylight saving. Some countries, obviously, you have, you know, your summertime, so you obviously, it advances an hour, or obviously it just reverses an hour, right, sometimes. So you can just set these to be automatic configure, right? Some other bits and pieces, though, time synchronized, so you can enable synchronization. This has to do with the a major configuration, right? Some SIP configuration that we're going to be covering in the future, right? A couple of things that you know that it's obviously there's always an advisor. There's always a disclaimer or a note or hint, if I would say so. Basically, if you read through this, it says danger if time synchronization is disabled. Online active access in any controller in these chassis or any other synchronized device may experience unexpected motion. This has to do with servo, right? With motion control. So you got to be cautious when you're dealing with this, all right? And obviously with the safety side, so your guard Logix, the Rockwell Safe PLCs also has got a note saying controllers may fault if no other time master exists in the local chassis. So a couple of things, right? We're not going to go through these right now, but it's certainly going to be covered in the future, in future videos, right? This is it. So, right, so basically a couple of things. So on this tab, you can configure the time. So just reading a few bits and pieces on the actual controller, it says, on date and time tab, you can configure the controller's wall clock time. The controller wall clock is used to set and track the time of the day. It is a 64-bit counter that counts in microseconds. Its current value is the number of microseconds from 0 hours January 1st, 1970. Coordinated Universal Time, UTC, right? Fantastic. And obviously, enable synchronization is to do with SIP sync, but don't worry too much about this. We're going to be covering it in the future, right? Right, serial ports. Let's just go for these tabs. Serial ports. This is basically, I don't think this is quite common nowadays, but in the past, we used to have lots of communication over serial, right? So this is where you can configure your protocols, and obviously, nowadays we're mainly relying on Ethernet, so it's fast speed network. So we don't worry. I mean, obviously, if you are experienced in the industry, if you are like me, an old timer, you probably came across lots of HMIs connected to PLCs via serial, right? So you can configure the serial port here. Nothing special, right? So and then let's just go through advanced. So advanced time. So what does it say? So in advanced tab, you can select your controller fault handler and your power up handler. What are those? So those are routines, right? So those are routines and programs, actually programs that are in an event of a controller goes into a state of fault. Obviously, that program would be called in order to perform a certain task, right? And obviously, and therefore, whereas the power up handler, it's as based on its name, is like if you have a power outage or power loss, and then I recover it once the PLC powers it up again, there's going to be a power up handler. So which means that if you require to restart a certain equipment in a certain way before you run your program, so you run those routines, that routine power up first, right? So this is my understanding of it. I've used that in the past, and obviously in the future I'm going to bring you guys a couple of examples. Okay, so just reading through. So controller fault handler program is a program that can be configured to handle major faults. All program faults that are not handled by a fault routine execute this program, as well as any other kind of major fault. So basically, like I said, it's a major code. It's to do with a major fault which normally halts your processor, right? So this is a major fault which is mainly going to stop your processor, right? And obviously it's going to run, like if you wanted to run a system shutdown safely, you can always run a controller fault handler program. And the power up is a program that can be configured to handle startup execution after an abnormal loss of power in run mode. So if you have a power outage and in the restart, if you have when you're rebooting your PLC, it's going to run a certain routine, so you can start up your system safely. All right. Okay. So system overhead time slice. So what is that? So this defines a percentage of time the controller allocates to perform communication and housekeeping functions. When online, this tab also displays controller memory usage statistics. So we can see here that it's obviously set to 20% right now, and obviously runs during unused system overhead time slice, run continuous tasks. So you got a couple of settings here, right? Obviously, we're going to be diving into this a bit deeper in the future, so don't worry too much about it again. This is just to get you going. So obviously, you might as well have a program that do not require any of those routines, but it's obviously, for obvious reasons, it's handy knowing that there are those options for you to be able to control your machine process safer. All right, lovely. Project tab. Here we go, project tab. So a couple of things that you've got here, some information, some user information, like the name of your file, obviously with your ACD. So every program that you create it comes up with the ACD extension. I can't remember on top of my head. Obviously, this is a shorter for something, but if you guys would know that ACD on top of your head, just write down in the comments. I can't remember. I'll bring that information later, right? But I can't remember on top of my head. And obviously, it's not telling me here right now in the menu. But all the files you create using your Studio 5000 Logix Designer is created using the extension ACD. So this is the path. So it's just creating on my default path where you save your project. You created it initially, and a couple of things like created, and when the project has been created, when it's been last added. So this is a couple of useful things, right? Just read through this bit, very quick, so we can view information about the project file. The project file is an .acd file that stores the controller's programming and configuration information, right? Confirm that the project is downloading project documentation. Okay, this is useful now. I guess within the latest revisions, you can always download project documentation, which includes comments, descriptions, and all the rest of it. So this is an extended properties, which is, I think, is something that I wouldn't know on top of my head which was the revision that it was. They started allowing you guys, enabling you to download documentation and other properties into it. So if you are offline, you can select those options. But because I'm online, they're all grayed out. All right, and you can enable the option to show pass-through properties throughout the project. So this is something that we're going to be diving into deeper in the future. All right, so let's just close that, and this is it. So this is all for today, folks. We just went through on how to configure our controller properties. So to configure our controller. So this is a couple of simple steps so you can get your project running, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. So if you just landed on this video, so this is a video on about operation technology, industrial automation, SCADA, PLC programming, industrial networks. So this is the place. So if you do like this video, just hit the like button. This help us quite a lot. if obviously if you enjoy this video, just make sure you subscribe to our channel, and make sure you ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. Stay tuned. This is just the start of this long journey. And I always recall you guys, always remind you of keep always RTFMing. All right? I'll see you guys next time.